story that has blown up this week. Some of you requested it, and to be honest, I do think it is genuinely one of the dumbest stories to get attention this week. So let's get through this Demi Lovato news. If you didn't see, she was feuding with a froyo shop. This because Demi wrote about her experience going to a shop in LA called The Big Chill, saying finding it extremely hard to order froyo from The Big Chill when you have to walk past tons of sugar-free cookies / other diet foods before you get to the counter. Do better, please. Hashtag diet culture vultures. And adding that she plans to use the hashtag to call out brands that use harmful diet messaging that can perpetuate and support eating disorders. Now, as far as The Big Chill, reportedly they DM'd her saying that they were sorry if she found anything offensive. Also responding publicly, sharing that they carry items for people with dietary needs and restrictions like diabetes, celiac disease, vegans, and more. Right, and all of that in addition to their more indulgent items. Demi responded to this by saying that it should be clearer in the labels that those products are there to accommodate certain restrictions. You know, following this, you had some people saying, thank you, Demi, for speaking up for us. Others saying, you're being ridiculous. Or essentially,
I can understand both perspectives here. So, I mean, obviously, if you're someone who suffers from an eating disorder, things like this are going to be like pretty triggering. And diet culture is very real, and toxic diet culture is even more real. Toxic diet culture actually is why there are so many eating disorders, you know, within our nation, but also within the world, you know, just like toxic dieting cultures or, you know, malpractice even of dieting cultures, like awful medical practices that people just believe should be done in the name of dieting, or just body modification in general. You know, in South America there are things that are done, but there are even things done in America that are harmful. So I totally get where she's coming from, and probably yes, I think a lot of companies could do better on packaging marketing, because, you know, they're playing into that group insecurity and fear there, and they're trying to, you know, they're trying to remind you should be dieting, keep you, you know, in fear of chasing that perfect body. So I definitely understand what she's saying. I understand why some people think it's not a big deal, but those people also are probably all people who have never suffered with body images or struggled with their own weight. So I get why you think it's not a big deal, but that's just because it's never been a big deal to you. But it is a big deal to some people, and not only is it a big deal, it's like a pretty big deal, and it does go on to perpetuate a toxic culture within our society that does nothing but hurt people. So is it really such a bad thing to call it out and try and clean it up?
saying you're attacking this small froyo shop for having sugar-free options. Right, you had big names chiming in with The Big Chill actually reposting a story from Mia Khalifa where she said to support local businesses that accommodate dietary restrictions and allergies. Though we also saw the likes of Jamila Jamil supporting Demi, writing, but if an eating disorder advocate says she sees products that are positioned as guilt-free and it is potentially triggering, that doesn't mean she's too stupid to remember that diabetics exist. It just means we need to change the marketing of products that are for people's medical needs. Guilt-free is diet culture terminology. We need to stop using that fucking term. Demi also ended up apologizing to the shop in an 8-minute Instagram video saying her message should have come across clearer. Also trying to explain that seeing stuff like that is difficult for her, that she's sensitive about this.
My intentions were not...
Yeah, she was probably triggered.
...come in and bully a small business. That was not it. I walked in, was so triggered that I left without froyo, and made me really sad.
Also, I've seen
and her ED reacted.
There were rumors and reports that Demi actually donated to The Big Chill, that now they're changing their menu. The Big Chill actually addressed that this morning, saying they haven't changed their menu, nor have they received a donation. Also saying they haven't heard from her since her sorry not sorry apology on Monday. Though I'm sure they didn't mind the attention. According to the LA Times, the shop went from 6,000 followers before Demi's post to now over 32,000. I've also had friends in the area saying there are lines out the door to get into this place now. And as far as my reaction to this, and also I just want to preface it, this is a reaction from someone that's actually struggled with an eating disorder. I feel like in general, diet culture, yes, can be incredibly toxic. It should be all about long-term health, long-term goals. In that way, it's one reason why I'm glad Demi Lovato is no longer pushing detox teas. But here, to me, this feels like it got completely overblown and ended up just being bullying and attacking a small business. Right? Not the ideal or best thing to do with a small business in an industry that's just been ravaged over the past year.
I see what he's saying, and yes, that is what ultimately happened here. But I do not think that was Demi's intention. I think that was a very emotional response from someone who has a lot of trauma based around diet culture, confronted by diet culture in a place they did not expect to be, while also trying to acquire food. So, already a triggering sort of struggling event, you know, for someone with an eating disorder. I'm going to go get food. That's a heightened anxiety state. I'm going to walk in. Now I see diet culture stuff. That's going to make my eating disorder scream at me in the worst ways possible, especially because I'm trying to get food that's not a part of diet culture. So now I'm being berated by myself, or not myself, but my eating disorder, but also physically by these labels and things in front of me. So all of a sudden you feel like you're in a not safe space. I can imagine an adrenaline rush starts, you know, and you feel very attacked because you are being attacked by a part of yourself or an eating disorder, the way it's developed in your mind. So it makes perfect sense to me that in the heat of the moment, she blasted them on social media, much like any other person would, by the way. And yeah, it came off as bullying because she's a person of stature. And yes, there's a truth that like anyone who like has a mass following should try and be careful with what they say. But we are all emotional creatures. We all suffer from trauma. We all suffer from triggers, and we all have emotional responses to them. So I don't know. Like I find myself more on Demi's side in this one. Like, maybe it wasn't the best way to go about it, but she had a completely valid point. And if anything, her reactions to how things were is a justification as to why things need to change, because they provoke responses like that. They make people feel unsafe like that. Just saying.
A better way to do this, and it feels weird that someone that is essentially arguing that words matter didn't think about her words when bringing up this issue that she had. But yeah, that is kind of where I'm going to end this. On the notion of the words matter, and I feel like if I go any longer, I'm just going to kind of unnecessarily punch down on her, because based off of the documentary and just her post in general, it feels like she's going through a lot. And whether it be me or Demi Lovato,
I haven't seen that documentary.
we could all benefit.
I don't know much about her story,
words do matter,
other than
so
she
try and
suffered
have a
from an eating disorder.
conversation, educate rather than maybe tear down.